I wrote a poem in 2014. I didn't know it was a poem at the time that I wrote it. It was more of a mission statement. And I wrote a title also in 2014. And at the time I wrote the title, I didn't know that it was the title of the poem. So I made that connection this week. You could say that, how dim a bulb must I be to write a four-line poem and the title for the four-line poem and not know that the two belong together. But I have found over the years that there is no limit to my ability to ignore an obvious connection. That's how I learn, is by finally stumbling over something that was there all along. But in any case, undoubtedly you can probably guess the undoubtedly you can probably superficially you can probably deeply and briefly, if you spend enough time, you can plumb out the title of the poem, because I say it all the time. The Affectionate Display, that's the title. I don't think that that title will sit atop that poem and nowhere else, because I like it too much. I'll end up using it somewhere else. I have an affectionate response toward the Affectionate Display, so I anticipate using it again. But the poem, the Affectionate Display, goes like this. I've read it at church before. I know why. I can help. I repay effort. I grow regardless. I know why. I know why the world works the way it works. I understand the big picture of the functioning of everything. The individual minute events will have individual and particular causes that are difficult to understand and to predict without direct first-hand observation. But in terms of the ebb and flow, the swagger and sway, the up and down and sideways of the way that events will transpire, we've been going through them over the past 3 years. It'll be Palm Sunday tomorrow. This is Ante-Palm Sunday or Palm Saturday. You call it what you will, but we are a little more than a week away from the third anniversary of the publication of Man Alive. Wow. And I've done a ton of work in those 3 years about the ideas that are implied by the arguments in Man Alive. We've gone through the arguments again and again and again and again, but we've gone through many of the implications. And 2014 was a very good year for me in terms of plumbing the implications of the ideas that are explored in Man Alive. Father's Day, Nine Empathies, Shiley's Delight, boom, boom, boom. I had a wonderful year. And I had a wonderful year in terms of the growth of my own understanding. I know why. And I know why now, today, better than I did a year ago today, and far better than I did 3 years ago today, at the point where I had transcribed everything I had understood up to that point. So I spent 35 years, that was Ebony, she's beside me, she's sneezing. I spent 35 years, 33 years getting to Man Alive, and 3 years since then, my understanding has grown enormously. And frankly, it's because of the lens, intellectual lens, that I provided for myself in Man Alive. I hope that I've contributed to your understanding of your own individual life and the world around you, the people that you interact with regularly, the people that you interact with infrequently, and everything else that you're involved with in the journey of your life. I hope that I've provided a better map for you, but I know I've provided a better map for me. I know why. I can help. I want to share what I know with you. I want you to share what you learn from me with everyone that you know, especially everyone that you love. I can help. I can help make your life better. And I know I'm doing this. I know I'm doing this in individual lives. Not very many, because not very many people pay attention to me, but those who have paid close attention to the ideas that I've discussed in these videos at the Church of Splendor, in other videos that I've made, and in the books that I've written, I know that the people who have pursued those ideas are doing remarkably better. And I'm glad of that. This is what I want. This is my objective in doing this. I don't have to share what I know in order to live it from the inside out. I think I learn better because I am sharing what I know, because it forces me to identify and explicate my ideas in ways that I might not otherwise do, that I can, just surf them and not really think them through. I have to think them through in order to present them in this way, and I think that's beneficial to me. But I don't really need that benefit. I'm going to benefit from being me regardless of what happens with you. And I'm sharing these ideas with you, not out of some kind of charitable or altruistic impulse, but because I want for your life to be better, and I want for your life to be better for my own sake because it will make my life better, but I want for your life to be better for your own sake because you only get one, and you ought to get the most out of it. And so I'm grateful if I can share what I know in a way that will help you learn to think the way I think. Tell you again and again and again, I want to infest your mind. I want to plant my seeds in your mind. I want to plant the seeds of my way of thinking in your mind so that a brand new forest of my kind of ideas grows in your brain. And undoubtedly better soil, so the ideas will prosper better there than here. I repay effort. And I want to send a great big shout out to Mike McNally, Dream Executive. I will link to him when I post this on Self Adoration because Mike did me a great big benefit just by talking to me, letting me talk. I don't get anywhere near enough of that. I talk all the time, and I don't feel like I'm talking anywhere near enough. And especially talking in real time with someone who is asking prescient probing questions and then giving me an opportunity to answer them. I don't want to criticize what Mike McNally did because I'm too grateful for it, but if I would offer one critique, I would say that he was nowhere, not even close to being hard on me. He was not hard on me at all. I don't resent that. I'm grateful for it because I'd much rather talk in a way that I can just be enthusiastic, be effusive, be me from the inside out. Do my kind of discussion my way. But I'm sure that the high seas in particular who've seen Mike McNally's video of me were unhappy that he didn't put the screws to me. So I'm grateful to Mike McNally for doing this, and I'm doing everything I can to help him because why? Because I repay effort. That's one way. I've talked about it before. That's one way I repay effort. Frankly, the way that you should read it first when you're reading that line, I repay effort, is that if you put the time into studying the things that I've talked about, if you really put the time into practicing the ideas that I've been elucidating, then your effort will be repaid. You will see results, and your results will be propitious, happy, prosperous, profitable, and pleasure-inducing. Pile up those P's. But I repay the effort that you put in to the ideas that I discuss, and the more effort you put in, the greater you will be repaid. But I repay effort that you put into helping to promote my ideas because I need that help. I desperately need that help. I do as much as I can on my own, and I live in a world. I've always lived in a world where my greatest hope is to do everything in my own behalf, to do everything for myself, to not rely on other people, to not need other people. And this is a circumstance where I cannot escape my need for other people. And so if I have helped you, it will be beneficial to me, yes, but it will be beneficial to you more for you to promote those ideas and to discuss them with the people that you love, to get as open and intimate and as elephant in the roomish with them as I am with you. And if you do that, it will have the same benefit for you that it has for me doing it with you. It will make you clearer in your thinking. It will make your understanding of the ideas that you're discussing, whether they're ideas that you learn from me, from other people, or ideas that you come up with on your own, it will make your arguments more clear, more cogent, more compelling, and more persuasive. And it will make you better from the inside out. So whatever results you happen to reap from the people that you're talking to, you will reap great benefits anyway because your mind will be better for having undertaken the exercise. But I definitely need this, and you definitely need this, and the people that you love definitely need this. And so the path for you is obvious. As I share with you, you share with them, and they share with others. And before you know it, 3 years ago I thought 500 days. That's more than 1,000 days later. The 500 days have come and gone, and we haven't seen much in the way of results, but small efforts applied consistently accumulate. an infinite series converges. And if you're doing what you can to share these ideas, then they will propagate, they will spread. So I have been engaged in my own self-improvement praxis. And this is a lifelong thing for me. This is what I'm doing now is what I've been doing forever. I'm just doing it in slightly different ways, but this is the way I've always worked. I've talked about this before. I live a life of dancing elation. I live a life of splendor, but really it's a matter of dancing for me. Every move that I make is a dance step for me, even if you don't see it that way. If you're not aware of the fact that I am dancing, then nevertheless I am, and it's simply a matter of being so involved in what I'm doing that I'm not doing anything else. This we talked about with Mike McNally, and I've talked about it a lot, obviously. I talk about it all the time, but I love it. I love it as a state of being. To talk about it is one thing, and when I talk about it, I'm all the way involved in it also. But to live it from the inside out is an absolute delight for me. It's the only way I want to live. It's the only way I ever have lived, and I would not elect to live any other way. But the things that I went through in 2014, especially starting with 9 empathies and proceeding through to Shiley's Delight, um, connecting the ideas of empathy that I have discovered, discerned, one of those disc words, connecting mammalian and reptilian empathy strategies with the DISC personality profile and ending up with a way of understanding DISC in terms of the unmet emotional needs and goals and objectives, overarching goals and objectives that are driving individual people. I'm a champion of free will. Every propulsive human action is caused by the freely willed choice of the actor and by nothing else. I do not believe in determinism. I do not argue for any sort of determinism, and yet here I am arguing for sort of an astrological kind of determinism in the form of the DISC system. It's not at all the same thing. That if you understand that you are making plausibly 10,000 choices a day, give or take a few thousand, but really once you get into the thousands of choices, what difference does it make? You're making thousands of choices a day. Most of those choices you're making relatively thoughtlessly. Not to say that your choice to act is not a conscious choice, that it is not a freely willed and voluntary choice, but that the thought process undergirding that choice may be ultimately negligible. You may be making most of the choices that you make in the course of the day on the basis of habit. And in fact, I know you are, because everybody is, including me, because you can't make thousands of choices a day while going through an elaborate deliberative process about each one. If it would take you a half a minute to make any particular choice, then 10,000 choices a day implies that you need a 5,000-minute day. Guess what? You don't have a 5,000-minute day. It doesn't work that way. And in fact, the way that you will make most of your choices will be by reference to the habits imposed upon you and implied by your DISC personality profile. And therefore, if you take the trouble to take the time to really understand yourself in DISC terms, if you understand the empathy strategies that undergird your habituated choices, you can catch yourself when you're about to make a consequential error, that an error that you might otherwise have made by virtue of your habituated decision-making processes. You can correct that because you can be aware of the fact that you are impelled to do something that is in fact contrary to your actual real-life, real-time interests in that particular inflection point, at that particular choice. That's cool. That's really cool. That's a huge benefit that you get from studying me. Again, I repay effort. That is a huge benefit that you get without any regard for anybody else in your life. You can actually do this with everybody else and get really good at understanding their choices, and therefore at understanding how they might have arrived at error and how you can help them find a better truth. Simply by understanding the way that they think, not assuming that they're wrong and you're right, or they're evil and you're good, or they have a vile motive, they're attempting to injure or punish you. Make none of those assumptions. Just assume that their unmet needs, grand designs, and empathy strategies are different from yours. And as soon as you approach people that way, you eliminate so many potential conflicts from your life. That's a benefit just by itself, but you also find so many opportunities for agreement because all of a sudden you're aware that this person is exactly like me and yet different. And by acknowledging and embracing those differences, we can arrive at an agreement that we might not otherwise have found. And I looked at all of that when I was done with it, including a giant spreadsheet that I wrote prior to writing Shelley's Delight. I wrote a spreadsheet of emotions, which I think is so funny. I look at every bit of that, and I said, "Ego evangelist, heal thyself." I'm learning this stuff for me. I'm not learning it for you. I'm sharing it with you. I'm learning it for me, and I learned so much in the course of writing Nine Empathies and Shiley's Delight that I immediately wanted to put it into practice, and I did. Um, all over the place, every interaction I've had with people since last August or so. I mean, really before then, all my life again, but since last August, it's been a different level of intensity just because I'm so aware of what it is that I'm doing. But for instance, when I went to the 21 convention in Tampa, late September, late October, I don't remember. It was around Halloween. Um, but I was all over it there. I am in this place where I really think I understand people in a better way than I ever have before, and I wanted to put that into practice. And so I did a whole bunch of it in Tampa. I've done a whole bunch of it everywhere that I've ever been, and I've been looking since then. I've been looking for other opportunities to do this. It's so funny. In Tampa, Socrates and I had a very long conversation, hours long, spread across 2 separate days in multiple episodes, but really one huge conversation. And his challenge to me in that hours long conversation was for me to become more sociable. I'm obviously hugely driven and an introvert, a weird combination, but it makes me solitary. And I like being solitary. I've always liked being solitary. I've never had a problem dealing with people. I've always been able to interact with people to the extent that I need to. And I'm a sales monster. That's what I do for a living. I sell for a living. If I have to sell with you for 6 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours a day for 6 days in a row, it's not a problem for me at all. Not a problem for me at all. And not a problem for me to stay on game, to stay on topic, to stay focused, to keep my mind on your needs, not my needs, because my needs, whatever they might be, are of absolutely no importance to you. This is no importance to you. This is elemental. This is essential in understanding how to become a sales monster, is to recognize that the buyer doesn't give a shit what you want. The buyer wants what he wants. And if you can get the buyer what he wants, you've got a transaction. And if you can't do that, it doesn't matter what you want, what you need, how you'd rather things would work out. If you sell that way, you're going to lose because there's nothing for the buyer to buy. The buyer is buying for his own needs, his own interests, his own wants, his own desires, his own values, not for yours. But I did this at the 21 convention. The Church of Splendor that I did the weekend of the 21 convention is the Disc of Love and Sales. And I equate the two because they're both persuasive arts and human transactional interaction, the transactions that we've been talking about for more than a year now. All of that is built around persuasion, about persuading someone to do something he otherwise would not have done. They can't say no, they can't say yes. This is one of the things I say when I get rejected in a sales situation. If you couldn't say no, you couldn't say yes. And this is a way of reaping victory from failure, frankly, but I don't really regard it as failure because it's all about my performance. It's not about you. It's not about you, your choices, your free will or anything at all like that. If I'm doing my job appropriately and properly, I should score. And if for some reason I didn't score, I should be able to identify the reason, and I should be able to start working to fix that particular defect in my praxis also. But because of all of this, because I knew I needed to understand this better than I did, that I had a better map, but I didn't really have that kind of deep understanding of the territory that comes from taking the map out in the world and traipsing around and finding out what's right with it and what's wrong with it, what can be fixed, what should be omitted, what should be emphasized. This is what I've been doing since last August. so more than 6 months now. But just lately, I have taken it to another level. I've been playing with Carney ideas and busker ideas and the Carney art of selling, I guess, since August of 2013, July of 2013, when I wrote Losing Slowly. I've been Losing Slowly is about the Carney art of selling. This is one of those things that you would never know if I didn't tell you because it just looks like a collection of funny short stories, but it's about the Carney life in general. It's about how the Carney world works. And I've been thinking about Carney persuasion since then. And that, of course, informed the thinking that I did in 2014. But the spreadsheet of implications that I built out of Nine Empathies and that I used to write Shiley's Delight, I want to explore that in enormous firsthand detail. And to do that, I need to sell. I need to sell in a real Carney way. And so I've been working my way toward that kind of selling, and I've just recently started it a month ago, maybe a little longer. It's a week before Easter. This is my 40 days in the desert. But selling belly to belly, face to face, life in the jungle. I mean, pure, raw, straight commission sales, one on one, selling a product that essentially the need for it I have to find. I have to find your need for it in order to sell it to you because you don't have any inherent need. You didn't arrive looking to have a need satisfied. And I have to do this in essentially in an elevator pitch. I've basically got 30 seconds to create the demand for the sale. And then we put it to the test. I have to close. And really that's what I'm doing. This is closing practice. That's the way I think of it. And that's the way I've been thinking of it since last August, is that I need better practice closing. I am a professional sales monster. That's what I've been doing for the past 15 years. And what I've been doing all my life, but what I have been doing it as a professional sales monster for a long time now. And I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And especially like this, if you'll give me the time, if you give me 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 6 hours over the course of 6 days, if you give me that kind of time, oh my God, I can make it happen. And I'm better today than I was 40 days ago because of this experience. But my job right now, I mean, every other job I've got going, I've still got going. But on top of that, I've layered on this additional sales gig. And it really is a gig because it doesn't involve anything like what you would expect from a job. And everything that you want to avoid when you take a job, all the risk, all the exposure, all the rejection, all of the things that nobody wants from the world, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm deliberately taking myself to a place where nobody wants to go, and I am enduring it, and now lately thriving in it. I'm getting better and better. But my job is to stand around for 6 or 7 or 8 hours getting my ass kicked, getting rejected 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10 on a good day, 7.5 times out of 10 when I'm really kicking ass, and in due course, 2/3 of the time, and then eventually 50% of the time. And if I can beat 50%, if I can get to a 50% closing rate or better, this will be proof that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. The only church you can go to where you hear what the fuck I'm talking about. But this will be proof that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And the fact that my numbers are improving is sufficient evidence for me at this point that I'm on the right track. I'm looking for more. I'm looking for better. I mean, that's part of what I'm doing. I'm looking to test the map that I've already prepared, but I'm also looking to improve that map in every way that I can. And the way that I do it is by going out there every day and getting my ass kicked and getting rejected, and regarding none of it as regarding every bit of it as a victory, to treat everything. I talked about this before. I talk about this all the time, to treat everything, every choice that you make, every situation that you're in, every alternative that you face, to set it up in such a way that either outcome is a victory. Either way you win. And I do that habitually. I've done it all my life. It's been a part of my practice since I was 4 years old. But when you're in a situation where you're getting rejected as a salesperson, and this is for incandescent salespeople, it is crushing. It is crushing. And since most salespeople are incandescent, they really don't understand what it means when a driven personality goes to sell. But my attitude is, number one, you're going to buy. I'm going to close. You're going to buy. We're all going to be happy. You're going to leave laughing. Everybody is going to be happy with the transaction. And that's my attitude. I'm going to win. And if it turns out that I didn't, I'm not looking to blame you for it anyway. I'm looking for what mistake I made, what I could have done better to make the transaction successful, to make it close. And I want this all to be about DISC. I mean, that's really what I did it for, is that I really wanted to go out and test my empathy strategies one-on-one with people. And to that extent, the thing that I'm doing now is not successful, not fully successful at that, because I don't get to spend enough time with people. It is too much an elevator pitch. And even though in the long run, by the end of the transaction, I may know the people that I'm dealing with in a very deep way, a very deep and intimate way, I have to get the money so soon that I don't really get a deep DISC understanding for the people that I'm dealing with. I get the S's. I mean, it's easy to get the S's because they're so considerate, they're so thoughtful, they're so unwilling to create conflict or rancor that they're soft touches. They end up being very soft touches. So I can identify the S's. I can identify the C's fairly quickly, and I'm getting better at taking away cautious objections before they arise, because when a cautious person in a group of people, when a cautious person raises an objection, that stings, that really hits the mark, that can kill every other possible sale. It can take everybody out of the D's might have done it, the S's probably would have done it. The incandescents might do it if they think everybody else is doing it, and yet one really pungent C objection, cautious objection, can kill not just one sale, but 4 or 5 or a dozen. And so as soon as I'm taking away the C objections kind of by default anyway, but as soon as I see that I'm up against a C, I'm really working to take away those C objections as quickly as I can so that they don't arise. That if there is an elephant in the room, it's to my advantage to mention it first. Or if anybody really cares that there's an elephant in the room, then I need to mention it first. If I disclose it first, then I can take the pain away. I mean, I understand this. I understand a lot of this from simple sales training, but what you get when you deal with me, if you imbibe of typical sales training, you're getting experience-based empirical ideas, and they're not bad because they have met the test of time and they have met the test of the marketplace. And so someone like Tom Hopkins or Zig Ziglar, really good sales trainers, understand a lot less as a matter of theory and understand a whole lot more as a matter of recognizing common events and uniting them around a principle, which is what empiricism is. The other kind of sales training or any sort of ideas that you might ingest is map infatuation. And this is, of course, so on the one hand, we have driven and incandescent sales training. On the other hand, we have cautious sales training that consists of nothing but theory and no real emphasis on praxis. When you see that kind of sales training, you will note the absence of practical examples. On the one hand, a Zig Ziglar will give you one practical example after another, which is useful because it's a way for people to learn, even though there really isn't any good theoretical underpinning. It's a way for them to learn that principle that unites the particulars. In theoretical sales training or any sort of training that involves nothing but theory, nothing but maps, the practical understanding is up to you, and you may never understand what it is you're being taught. It may not bear out in reality anyway, and that's something you can only find out by putting it into practice, but you may never learn how to put it into practice because it's nothing but theory. And that's where the intersection that you find at the Church of Splendor with Greg Swann is that I have a deep respect for maps insofar as they are practical for dealing with reality. And I would never defend the map in preference or defend the map in preference to the territory, nor would I insist that a mere collection of facts and details about the territory is sufficient for making a useful and perfectible map. That the two together are what make for human understanding, that a deep understanding of practical reality coupled with a deep theoretical understanding for why the world works the way it works, with both of those being in a state of continuous perfectibility, that you're constantly seeking more facts about reality and you're constantly seeking deeper, more integrated understanding about those facts of reality. You're constantly testing your premises against reality, and you're constantly revising the map when reality proves your premises wrong. This is what you get for dealing with me. We're talking about belly-to-belly selling of the most impractical kind, and I'm talking about deep philosophy that I am studying as a result of doing this seemingly inconsequential carny job. But as much as I want disc to work for me in terms of getting the money, it's not as useful to me as two very simple Carney tricks, and those are enthusiasm and eye contact. If I can get your eye contact, and God bless the S's are very free with eye contact. If I can get your eye contact, I can get your money. And if I can't get your eye contact, I need to pound down harder on the enthusiasm. I need to put more emphasis in my speech, and I need to push harder to get you to understand the incredible value that I put on the table before you here today. And I need you to understand that most people, once they understand this spectacular offer, choose to act immediately. This is selling. This is really selling. This is Carney selling, and I'm good at it. I am good at it. And I'm going to be great at it. I'm going to be great at it because I am willing to go out and get my ass kicked again and again and again and again. And I will get my ass kicked until I am kicking ass and taking down names, until I'm at a 50% close rate or better. But what gets me there is the eye contact. And what gets me the eye contact is the enthusiasm. And I can get the eye contact from the S's very easily. I can get the eye contact from the I's pretty easily because I'm a good show. I can get the eye contact from the D's with a little bit harder work because I'm funny and I look like a good time. And I can get the eye contact from the C's if I really bust ass for it, if I really work for it. But if I can get the eye contact, I can get the money. And I can get the eye contact by the enthusiasm that I put in to my presentation. And that's why I don't look for any factor to explain my failure except my own performance, because it all comes down to me. It all comes down to me. Obviously, it's your choice whether to buy or not, and I can totally kill it and think that I've gotten the money out of your pocket, and yet it never moves from your pocket to mine. That can happen. But that's my fault too. And as long as I look at it that way, as an event that I can make happen by how well I do at my performance, I can't actually cause it, but I can do as much as I possibly can to induce and influence that transaction. If I put that enthusiasm into it, if I get that eye contact, I will score. I will make the sale. And this is all kind of tying back into the other idea in Shiley's Delight that I don't really talk about except to the extent that I'm talking about dogs. We talk about it in Nine Empathies also, and that is the incredible difference in the way that animals are aware of their surroundings compared to the way that we're aware of our surroundings. And the difference is focus, is conceptual focus, abstract conceptual focus. You can do it, they can't. And because you can do it, you will be looking at a whole room full of stuff and see none of it because you're so focused on your spouse or your child or the television or whatever activity you happen to be involved in at that point, that when you focus on one thing, you are necessarily excluding all the other things that are going on around you. And this is something that animals really cannot do. They cannot do it. They can focus to a degree as an expression of their mammalian empathy strategies, as a way of inducing and participating in the mutually reciprocal, mutually beneficial, and loving behavior that mammals prefer, the sort of concourse that they prefer in their surroundings. They can focus on other mammals in pursuit of mutual exchanges of affection. They can focus temporarily on perils in their surroundings in order to respond to or avoid fight or flight that peril. But for the most part, everything that's going on around them is random chaos, all noise, no signal. Signal means nothing to them. The idea of signal obviously means nothing to them, but the mere fact of a signal, that every signal that seems to mean something to an animal is in fact a proxy signal, because they don't know what's important and what's not important. I summon Dusty, my dog, I summon him to go out to pee by spanking my ass 5 times really fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a proxy signal that tells him it's time to go outdoors. He knows that the two events are related, and so he comes trotting toward the door. It's very useful. It's a very useful way to summon the dog in a way that means something to him and nothing to any other creature in the house, and doesn't actually mean anything at all, except that we've set up this proxy signal between us. This is the way that animals think, and it is completely alien to your thinking as a fully human being, a fully alive, fully awake human being, awake in the uniquely human way, because it is natural for you to focus, natural as a matter of habit, for you to focus on what you're most interested in and to ignore everything else. And it is natural as a matter of inescapable praxis for other creatures, other organisms, to attend to everything all the time because they have no way of knowing what's significant and what's not. That's interesting to me. The fact that I don't operate that way as a matter of normal everyday habit is interesting to me because it sounds useful to me. It does sound useful to me. And so we can step back a little bit. I am driven and introverted, very much inner directed in the way that David Reisman talked about in the book The Lonely Crowd. And he elaborates on an idea called other direction, which is very common among people my age and younger. Very very broad and yet very shallow awareness of what other people in a social group are doing, how they're reacting, what their mother tongue expressions are, their body language, their sighs and sneers, their snickers, their eye rollings, the voluntary and involuntary nonverbal communication signaling that they're doing. So simultaneously, someone could be saying one thing in words and communicating exactly the opposite idea in mother tongue, and people who are other directed are very tightly focused on this mother tongue conversation that is going on, even if it belies the father tongue conversation that is occurring. This is something that I had to learn from David Reisman because I wasn't aware of it. I was aware that other people didn't think like me, but I wasn't aware of why it was that they thought that way. That book was very useful to me when I was young in understanding other people. And so that's one way of thinking about this, that if you're like me, and a lot of people who are going to be watching this are going to be high C's, INTJ high C's, are going to be very common among the people who are watching me on YouTube. Very likely to be inner directed in exactly this way. And so the sort of voce, subvocal, non-vocal, non-verbal conversation that's going on in the room is mainly going to be lost on you, and you're going to be blindsided a lot by things that were decided without words. So that's one way of thinking about it, to step back from that inner direction to that kind of other direction, to be aware of what's going on with other people and how they're reacting to you and to other events that are occurring. But what I'm talking about is taking a much bigger step backward and adopting the cognitive style of your dog and literally taking in everything that's going on around you, everything that you can perceive in your immediate environs, wherever you are. If you're in a room, if you're in an auditorium, you're in a parking garage, you're out in a pasture, wherever you happen to be, to take in take in all the noise as signal, treat it all as signal, but just take in all of that noise, all of that sensory information, to take it in all at once as though you were a dog, and to try to understand that environment from that point of view. I'm calling it an empathy for the event. Take the event, the moment, the reality, the circumstance that you find yourself in, and have an empathy for that whole machine. It's an empathy for the machine of a machine that is composed of radically disparate elements that are not intended to work together, and yet they are working together in the sense that you can understand how they're working together if you apprehend them all at once, continuously in real time, the way your dog would. This is difficult. This is really difficult because your natural impulse is to focus, and you will focus, and you have to focus. And so I'm out there selling, and the whole world is going on all around me, and I'm trying to take it all in while I am making an elaborate elevator pitch that I really have to get perfect, and really get perfect in a very short span of time while I'm doing that, and while I am taking in all of the mother tongue communication that is going on with the people that I'm presenting to, and also father tongue communication, because of course they interrupt, of course they rebut, and they should, of course they object, they should, and I should be ready for them, and that's my deal too, is to be ready for them, to be so quick on my feet that you can't take me by surprise, and to respond to your objection in such a way that I take away the C fear and give the S's, the D's, and the I's something to laugh about, because I can take away the pain and give them a pleasure instead, and in doing that, I kind of diffuse future C objections This is elaborate. And what's most elaborate about it, I guess, is trying to take in everything else all at the same time, to take in all of this all at once, to be as fully committedly outbound as I can possibly be, because in order to present, I need to present just like I'm doing right now. Everything I have in me. Boom, 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 just pound, 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 and get it all right and get it perfect in an unbelievably limited amount of time, at the same time that I am taking in every possible reaction I'm getting from the people that I'm presenting to, everything they do in father tongue, but also everything they do in mother tongue, and all of the subtle mother tongue interaction that's going on between them, because they're reaching a consensus about my presentation, all without words, and I need to apprehend that so I can manage and direct it where I want to go, so I can close on it. In order to close on these people, I got to figure out how it is they want to be closed on. I've got to do all of that while I'm making this presentation, and while I'm doing all of that, I am trying to take in everything that's going on all around me, all at the same time. And what might be the benefit for me from doing all this? Ask me in a year. I'm doing it in order to get better. What I'm getting better at, I'm going to have to find out later. But ultimately, I am looking for an empathy for everything. An empathy for the machine, an empathy for the room, an empathy for the moment, and an empathy for the event, especially an empathy for the transaction. But I want an empathy for everything. I understand in the big picture how the world works and how people behave. And I think if I pay enough attention, I can understand how everything works while it's happening in real time, continuously. Who can I blame if I fail? Nobody. Who's going to do all the work? That would be me. Who's going to be the chief beneficiary? Again, that would be me. Will I share my results with you? Try to stop me. But it all comes down to my performance anyway. It's all about my personal performance. And I like it that way. I really like it that way. I mean, I like it that way because I'm an egoist, because I'm an individualist, because I'm an atheist. Frankly, I don't want God's help. If there is a God, I certainly don't want His help. I want to do everything on my own and in my own behalf, and I want to do it perfectly. I want to get to a point where I can do it perfectly. I think this is a worthy human goal. I think this is a noble aspiration for the human mind. I think it's one that you should take on too. Whatever it is that you know you need to get better at, I think you should find a way of getting your ass kicked as many times an hour as you possibly can until you get so good at getting your ass kicked that you're kicking ass and taking down names. I'm grateful to Socrates because whether he pushed me or not, having the conversation certainly pushed me. I connected George Kellis, who I met at the 21 convention, a real hard charger, a real strong D. I connected him to a sales monster that I know, a sales monster that I look up to as a sales monster. I connected those two guys together this week, and I'm eager to see what comes of that, but I just love it anyway. I've been thinking about my friend Brian Brady a lot this week because this is the kind of selling that I'm doing right now is the kind of selling that he is absolutely fabulous at, and I would love to see him do the job that I'm doing right now because I think he'd probably kill at it. He could kill at it on the first day. And I am grateful to all of the people who are attending to me. However few there are now, there will be many, many more later. Kathleen told me a story about John Wesleyan, I guess is his name, the founder of the Methodist branch of Christianity. There are so many of them. I'm not sure I'm getting this right, but Wesleyan was out preaching in the field and nobody came. And the next Sunday he's out preaching in the field and nobody came. And the third Sunday he goes out preaching in the field and 10,000 people show up. I think probably that story has been improved, but I've been like John Wesleyan out here every Sunday, week after week after week, waiting for my 10,000 or my 10 million or my 7 billion, and they haven't shown up yet, but I'm very grateful to the people who do talk to me and who do listen to me, because whether there are 10 or 10,000 or 10 million, I can only talk to the people who are listening to me. I can only persuade the people that I can make eye contact with and share my enthusiasm with. So I'm very glad to have you out there, and I encourage you, entreat you, beg you even, to share these ideas with the people that you love and to explore these ideas with the people that you maybe hate or fear, to learn to think my way, to learn to think the way that I've been talking about since 2014, but the way that I've been talking about since Man Alive, and the way that I've been talking in my entire life. To learn to think that way, it will make your life better, it will make your social relationships better, it will make your job better, it will make everything better. I promise you, nothing but better. Apparently, I don't create enough pain, because apparently that's the way you're supposed to sell, is to create a pain and then take it away. I'm not interested in that. I want to whip up a great big batch of joy and invite you to have all you can eat. Maybe that's not a great sales strategy, or maybe it is just slow acting. We'll find out, because I'm going to get better at selling, and the better I get at selling, the harder I'm going to sell every Sunday at the Church of Splendor. So anyway, thanks so much for spending time with me. If you think about the ideas that I talked about today, you will get better at whatever it is that you do. And the real trick is to recognize that it's all about you. It's all about your performance. It's all about things that you can perfect from the inside out. And so if you take yourself out there, and if you're willing to get your ass kicked, you're going to find out how not to get your ass kicked and how to kick ass instead, in the nicest possible way. Bless you. Thank you so much. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next Sunday, Easter Sunday, the 3rd anniversary of Man Alive, the very first day of the next 500-day revolution that we can look forward to. So anyway, bless you. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.